year.
The time by Sagicor is
7 o'clock. CVM News at 7 Tuesday, brought to you by KFC.
50 years of finger licking good memories. Yeah.
Tonight in CVM News at 7 p.m. bashes gutter politics. Near crisis in healthcare. Tufton sounds the alarm. Baby and 14-year-old aunt still missing. In numbers don't lie, the shifting sands of St. Catherine East Central. We have Tech Pulse. While in sports, CWI president calls for emergency meeting in the wake of West Indies' heavy defeat by Australia. From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Tuesday, July 15, 2025. I'm Nika Lewis. Thanks so much for joining us. Blasting the opposition People's National Party for what he says has been the death of truth and standards for popularity, JLP leader and Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says his party has done the work and is deserving of another term. Speaking to throngs of supporters at the party's Area 2 gospel concert in Old Harbour, he accused the opposition of being, quote, chaka-chaka, while insisting the JLP is a party of order. Druselle Mills has more.
If anyone was unclear as to whether Jamaica was on the cusp of an election, there was no doubt after the Prime Minister issued this charge in Old Harbour, St. Catherine Sunday among a sea of green.
You can choose order. You can choose a promise, or you can choose delivery and performance. You can choose bad mind. You know, you see what is happening with the school buses. If that is not the ultimate of bad mind, I don't know what is.
He condemned his opponent, PNP President Mark Golding, of being unfit to lead and sacrificing order, morals and values at the altar of popularity, following videos of Golding's use of profanity when his mic failed at a party event.
There are those who have used the political stage primarily to bring down people, thinking that popularity can be earned through profanity. But I say to you, as I have written to my political party to say, we are not in a race to the gutter.
Holness reaffirms he's not leading his team into the gutters.
It is said that the General Secretary of the opposing party has said that if we go low, they go lower. We don't join that. We are not into that. No, we can't do that. The Jamaica Labour Party does not and will not trade the dignity of the people for denigration and disgrace. No, we are not going to do that.
He listed a raft of projects done and already on track for housing, health, and the economy as he wrapped up what, for many, was more a sermon than a rally, but with battle-ready messaging, an election is nigh. Druselle Mills, CVM News.
Mark Golding should apologize for at least a dozen things. That's the sentiment of JLP Deputy Area Council 2 leader, St. Thomas Western MP James Robertson. Robertson further bolstered his argument, insisting Golding is unfit to become Prime Minister.
Lauding the Labour leader but rebuking the PNP president, Deputy Area Council 2 leader James Robertson chastised the PNP's Mark Golding over recent actions and remarks on the campaign trail. He insists Golding is not Prime Minister material.
Mark Golding is not fit to be Prime Minister of Jamaica.
Everybody free your dance, chaka chaka. Everybody do the dance, chaka chaka. Chaka 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 chaka.
He is condescending. He is disrespectful. He has a bad attitude. And out of his own mouth are going to touch it again.
And to advance his position, he says Golding has amassed a long list of incidents and statements for which he should apologize. First to JLP members, but also to the Jamaican people.
I sat down beside the party leader and I came up with over 12 things Mark Golding should apologize for. He owes the ombudsman an apology. I'm not going to go deep into it because you all are politicians and you know it. He owes Bobby Montague an apology. He owes all the ladies of Jamaica when he referred to somebody as the little lady. When he called labor rights fool, he owes us an apology. He owes Michelle Charles an apology when he had the nerve to call her classless.
He contends the PNP president might very well have to apologize to his own party people.
He will have to apologize to the PNP for not presenting his birth certificate to them.
Everybody free your dance, chaka chaka. Everybody do the dance, chaka chaka.
I have so much more that I could tell Marky G to apologize. But the last one I have to tell him. When Ronnie Thwaites had to say that Marky G and his friends and his company profited from the greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich in 400 years. He needs to apologize for that.
Giselle Mills, CVM News.
Few constituencies capture the nation's attention quite like St. Catherine East Central, though still in its adolescence. This Portmore-based seat has quickly become a microcosm of the shifts taking place in that section of the parish that was in the past dominated by the People's National Party, the PNP. As the 2025 general election looms, the constituency is once again preparing for a high-stakes contest, one that pits a two-term incumbent against a familiar challenger.
St. Catherine East Central stands as one of Jamaica's youngest constituencies, born from the redistricting efforts that preceded the 2011 general election. This constituency is both politically significant and demographically dynamic, home of the ever-evolving communities of Gregory Park, Southborough, and Portmore Pines. In its first contest, the People's National Party PNP secured an early advantage. Arnaldo Brown, an attorney-at-law, triumphed over the Jamaica Labour Party GLP's Suzette Buchanan, eking out a narrow 558-vote majority. But the political winds would not remain still. By 2016, the tide turned. Brown, seeking a second term, was unseated by another member of the legal fraternity, Orlando Terrelong, the JLP's standard bearer. The margin of victory was tight, just 494 votes. Then came 2020, with the PNP fielding Raymond Price, a former MP for St. Elizabeth Northeastern. Hopes were high for a resurgence, but Terrelong, now an established figure on the national stage, delivered a blow. He won by a commanding 2,002 votes, not only retaining his seat, but sweeping all three divisions in the constituency, Gregory Park, Southborough and Portmore Pines. It was a stark contrast to the 2016 contest, when Portmore Pines had been hotly contested and Southborough remained competitive. The local government elections of 2024 offered another glimpse into the pulse of the constituency. While the JLP emerged ahead overall, the contest was razor thin in Southborough, separated by a mere 4 votes. Gregory Park remained a JLP stronghold, while the PNP showed moderate strength in Portmore Pines. As the 2025 election approaches, all eyes once again turn to St. Catherine East Central. Terrelong is poised to seek a third term, banking on his incumbency and visible community engagement. Across the aisle, Raymond Price, who has not sat in Gordon House since his tenure, representing St. Elizabeth Northeastern, aims for a political comeback. In this young seat, every vote is a narrative, and every election adds a new chapter to its unfolding story. Andre Jebinson, CVM News.
CVM News at 7 continues right after the break.
Truth is, HIV affects everyone. Truth is, avoiding care leads to a weaker immune system. That means you could get really sick. The truth is, the hardest pill to swallow isn't the medication. It's the problems that follow when you don't take them. Let's get through this together. Remain in care. You can live life to the fullest with HIV. And that's the truth. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
From politics to global events, from social issues to breaking news, Lead Story Prime dives deeper, cuts through the noise, and uncovers the stories that shape your world. Join us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. for Lead Story Prime with me, George Davis, for an hour of incisive analysis, expert interviews, and unparalleled coverage of the issues you care about. Lead Story Prime, your front row seat to the most compelling discussions. Lead Story Prime, where the truth comes first. Only on CVM TV.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Thanks so much for staying with us. Maggi Road in Waterworks District, Westmoreland has finally received long overdue repairs. The repairs were carried out by Abigail Malcolm, PNP caretaker for the Cornwall Mountain Division, and Dwayne Vaz, PNP caretaker for Westmoreland Central. Carla Ramdeen has this follow-up.
Like a road, man. The road look decent, you know. Look official. Yeah, man. Like how look.
The once waterlogged, rut-inclined Maggi Road has finally been repaired. This after 2 weeks of tug-of-war between Abigail Malcolm, PNP caretaker for the Cornwall Mountain Division in Westmoreland Central, and Councillor Donette Foster over who should repair the deplorable stretch in Waterworks. The resident gave the final go-ahead to Malcolm, who they say had made several attempts to repair the road in the past.
I've stood with this area, I've stood with the Waterworks Division, and I've stood with the other 62 communities in my division. So this is just the beginning of the work that we are doing here now. So come next week, we're moving on to other communities, even tomorrow. But I can't tell you the communities on here now.
PNP caretaker for Westmoreland Central, Dwayne Vaz, denies claims of them destroying the roads by removing the stones laid by MP George Wright.
The road is in a better condition than it was ever before in recent times. So what we have done, we have brought in the grader, we have brought in the roller to complete works that were started before. So I was confused from day one, wondering what the commotion was about. But as you can see now, Maggi Road is in a much better condition than the way they had left it when they put the stones on the road.
Malcolm told CVM News that the repairs amounted to over $2 million. Vaz further clarifies that the roadworks was not funded by the parish council, but was funded by themselves and their stakeholders.
So this talk about the parish council using parish council money to assist caretakers, I want to rubbish that argument. Because the money that is being used here is coming from our personal pockets and from stakeholders who we have built relationships with over the years, and they are assisting us with what we are doing. So no government funding is being used right now.
Mayor Danry Delancey on a previous occasion had shared hopes for the road repairs to materialize, adding it was not an issue who fixed it as long as the people were able to enjoy better roads. Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
The IAJ released a warning ahead of the hurricane season to remind homeowners to update their insurance policies. But this has raised the question on whether or not home insurance and regular updates are affordable to the average Jamaican. Crystal Williams has more.
For most, it's their most valuable asset. However, the rising cost to properly insure your home is raising some concerns. To insure a home in Jamaica, it takes less than 1% of the cost of the property. But with property values generally rising, the cost of insurance is as well. Vice President of the Insurance Association of Jamaica, IAJ, Mr. Shaluk Richards, says that since a disaster could strike at any time, it pays to be prepared. A message being reinforced by the IAJ's public education campaign titled Real Value, Real Coverage.
I believe that reinsurance is not just affordable, it's also critical, right? Because it is something that protects what you've already worked for and invested in.
It was also imperative to note that due to risk exposure, insurance generally tends to be more expensive for those living in coastal areas than for those living deep inland, with data from the National Poverty Reduction Program indicating that's 70% of the population.
Coastal areas within 100 to 400 feet from the shoreline will also have different exposure from somebody that's deep inland, right? Because we know once a hurricane comes, a common thing that comes with a hurricane are surges and high waves, and that can have significant impact on the properties on the coast.
According to recent reports, the salary of the average Jamaican generally falls between $70,000 Jamaican dollars and $200,000 Jamaican dollars per month. At a yearly rate, this amounts to $840,000 to $1,440,000 per year. In contrast to this, Kingston rents average $90,000 and home prices start at $30 million Jamaican dollars. So, this would make the average cost of insurance maintenance less than $300,000 Jamaican dollars. But is this a prerequisite that the average Jamaican is able to meet, especially as regularly as required?
You have to constantly keep your insurance current.
How constant is constant?
So we recommend that that you do evaluation or review of your insurance every 2 to 3 years.
The IAJ reports that only about 1 in 5 Jamaican homes carry insurance, and among those, 95% are underinsured. Could this be a result of the average income of a Jamaican homeowner?
I believe yes, and let me tell you why I say yes, right? The cost for insurance is less than 1% of your property. Think about that, 1%.
Crystal Williams reporting for CVM News.
With the anticipation of Reggae Sumfest this year, thousands are pouring into Montego Bay St. James, but where they stay is changing. The rise of Airbnb has brought new options to the tourism landscape, and with it, new questions. Raymond Morrison has this story.
Whether it's a cozy studio tucked into a local neighborhood or a seafront suite at a luxury hotel, the choice of accommodation for Sumfest visitors has never been wider. In a statement shared with CVM News, President of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, Christopher Jarrett, says the association welcomes Airbnb properties into the mix. He notes that a little competition is healthy and that some travelers will always favor cost-effective options. Jarrett also added that while Airbnb hosts often operate with lower overheads and fewer taxes, hotels continue to provide structure and consistency that some guests prefer. And for travel operators, the shift is palpable.
I believe affordability remains a key driver behind the growing popularity of Airbnb accommodations in Jamaica, especially during major events like Reggae Sumfest. However, I believe too that this trend really gained momentum during the COVID-19 pandemic when travelers began prioritizing privacy and social distancing. For travelers back then, remember, booking a private home offered not only peace of mind, but also greater value for money. Don't get me wrong, hotels remain a wonderful option, particularly for honeymooners and families. Many travelers are now looking for a more authentic Jamaican experience. At Sea Salt Travel, we specialize in luxury villas, all-inclusive resorts, and high-quality Airbnb stays. With Reggae Sumfest drawing both returning and first-time visitors, we've seen a significant increase in demand for Airbnb options, like a significant increase. Travelers want convenience, they want comfort and culture richness at a reasonable price, and Airbnbs delivers just that.
Major players in the hotel industry, including Secrets Montego Bay, who is a sponsor of the event, declined to speak on the issue, but many continue to adapt with flexible rates and targeted packages, hoping to hold their share of the market as accommodation dynamics shift. As Sumfest continues to draw crowds from across the globe, the question remains, Airbnb or hotel? While both options have their advantages, stakeholders agree that ultimately, choice drives growth. Raymond Morrison, CVM News.
There's more to come on CVM News at 7.
It's just joy and niceness whenever we get together. And that smile on your face is something to treasure. Grateful that in these special moments, I'm the one that you always chosen.
Thank you, Jamaica, for 50 years of finger-licking good memories. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Yeah. Conquered is another dream game. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction, 'cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music hits I play, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling, don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it down. Shine your lights on.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yeah.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Thanks so much for staying with us. This summer, the battle for truth has a new front, and it's not in Parliament, but in algorithms. As political noise grows louder ahead of Jamaica's next general election, a silent war is raging online, AI versus disinformation. But can machines really help fact-check reality faster than it's being rewritten? We explore in Tech Pulse. In Tech Pulse this week, we explore the tech behind the trend in unmasking fake news and misinformation in a democracy. Yes, we know it's political high tide in Jamaica, and many speeches reflect concern for fake news and deep fakes, causing many to wonder what is real and what is not. AI-powered platforms are now detecting fake news, misleading narratives, and manipulated content in real time. These tools use natural language models to detect deceptive phrasing or narrative shifts, image recognition to spot deep fakes or doctored visuals, and network analysis to trace viral falsehoods across platforms. The global solutions include Microsoft's Content Authenticity Initiative.
This approach is about what we call provenance. Content authenticity, provenance, attempts to prove what's true about a piece of media rather than detect what's false. So rather than detecting and punishing bad actors, this empowers good actors to do something that helps democracy and helps truth. But it's not a truth detector in that we're not saying, hey, we can prove the veracity of what's depicted in a photo or video. What we're proving cryptographically, verifiably, is how it was made, whether Photoshop was used, whether Andy Parsons made it, whether it actually came from the BBC.
There's also Google's AI Fact Check Explorer.
Google's Fact Check Explorer is designed to facilitate the work of fact checkers, journalists, and researchers in discovering what has and hasn't been debunked all over the globe. Think of this as a search engine for your fact checks that can help you determine fact from fiction. The tool uses a markup language called Schema that tells Google that this is a fact check produced by a reputable fact-checking organization. You can find the Explorer at the link below. At the top is a search box, and below it you will see recent fact checks that have been published. All of the fact checks have the same format. First, who made the claim and what the claim was. Then, the name of the organization who completed the fact check, like Snopes or Full Fact, followed by rating or conclusion. There will always be a link to the full fact check so that you can find out more. If there is a particular topic, person, or claim that you want to search for, type it into the search box. The results are ordered by the most recent.
And Jigsaw's Perspective API used to flag toxic or misleading commentary. They say sunlight is the best disinfectant. But in the digital age, perhaps the brightest light is coded, trained, and running on GPUs. That's it for Tech Pulse this week, but ask yourself, can AI safeguard truth, or will algorithms need oversight too? Remember, the future is now. Jamaica's healthcare system is once again in the spotlight, and this time under the theme of global population trends. At the launch of the United Nations Population Fund's State of the World Population Report 2025, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton sounded the alarm on the worsening state of the country's healthcare workforce. Our reporter Akeem Aret is standing by to tell us more.
A near healthcare crisis is looming. That's the warning from Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, who says the sector is under significant strain, due in part to workforce shortages.
Health right now is bordering in some areas on a crisis in terms of healthcare workers. And this is not unique to Jamaica, just to be clear. It's a global thing. In fact, the projections suggest that we need some 20 million or so healthcare workers between now and 2030.
The situation is made worse by the steady migration of nurses and other critical staff seeking better opportunities, leaving the public system in demand.
500 or so of our specialist nurses migrate each year on average, leaving our neonatal units, intensive care units, operating theater units, accident and emergency units in very short supply and impacting the quality of service delivery by virtue of not having enough bodies and enough boots on the ground.
Experts say with a growing and aging population and an increase in non-communicable diseases, the healthcare system must rapidly adapt. However, Minister Tufton says the availability of resources is another challenge.
Even if we wanted to train more, we're restricted by virtue of clinical rotation space, meaning operating theater beds to practice around. There's a ratio of student to beds, and by faculty or the shortage of faculty, people to train.
However, Minister Tufton says as the government works to craft solutions, the call is now for more healthcare workers. Hakeem Aret, CVM News.
There's more to come right after the break.
Here's a finger licking good memories, yeah.
The time by KFC is 7:30.
From politics to global events, from social issues to breaking news, Lead Story Prime dives deeper, cuts through the noise, and uncovers the stories that shape your world. Join us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. for Lead Story Prime with me, George Davis, for an hour of incisive analysis, expert interviews, and unparalleled coverage of the issues you care about. Lead Story Prime, your front row seat to the most compelling discussions. Lead Story Prime, where the truth comes first. Only on CVM TV.
It's just joy and niceness whenever we get together. And that smile on your face is something to treasure. Yeah. Grateful that in these special moments, I'm the one that you always chosen.
Thank you, Jamaica, for 50 years of finger-licking good memories. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Hey everybody, I'm Yendi, and this is Odyssey with Yendi. In this space, we connect with some of your favorite people as they share their journeys. Here we have some unfiltered conversations as we deep dive into their inspirations, motivations, and experiences to inspire our own life journey.
Odyssey with Yendi, brought to you by Grace and Singer.
Welcome back. Jordan Fort joins us for a quick look at what's ahead in sports.
All right, Nika, of course, yesterday we told you about that West Indies dismissal for 27, an all-time low for the West Indies in Test cricket. Well, a swift response from the president of Cricket West Indies calling for an emergency meeting to review that series against Australia, and also calling on some of the West Indies past greats to help with that review, so I'll have more on that. Plus, some outstanding Jamaican performances in Lucerne, Switzerland today, as athletes continue to chase qualifying standards for the World Championships. Just to give you a little spoiler, none of the two athletes who were chasing qualifying standards made the standard, but there was a big personal best for one of Jamaica's outstanding juniors.
All right, we look forward. And we also look forward now to regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. Chief Elections Officer Vishnu Prasad says results for the September 1, 2025 general and regional elections could be declared by the night of the day after, barring any recounts. More from Newsroom Guyana.
International observers are invited by the government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's only when they come through that, then we will know. At this time, we believe that Commonwealth, CARICOM, OAS, Carter Center is already here, EU, these are peoples that we have received indication that will be here to observe the elections.
Mr. Prasad, my last question. All the lists are going to be posted in their entirety outside your office?
Already being done.
Already being done. Thank you so much.
How soon do you envisage the election result becoming available after polling day?
So that would be determined on how you view it, because now the law requires that as soon as a statement of poll is being processed, simultaneously it goes up on the website. So the results of the election could be known even before we are ready to declare it, because you can be sitting in your sitting room and be doing your own tabulation. But insofar as a declaration is concerned, at the level of GCOM, at the district level, we're earmarked to have declarations done by the night of the day after elections.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago has officially revealed the primary reason behind the United Kingdom's decision to reimpose visa restrictions on its citizens, a massive, unprecedented spike in asylum claims. More from Tobago Updates.
For months, the public was left to speculate. But on July 10th, post-cabinet briefing, the Foreign Affairs Minister confirmed that the UK took action after the number of Trinidad and Tobago nationals seeking asylum on its shores skyrocketed from an average of 15 per year to over 400.
What was revealed based upon that discussion is that a high and inordinate an extraordinary number of persons would have been leaving Trinidad and Tobago to go to the UK to claim asylum.
The minister stated that the majority of these applicants were citing Trinidad and Tobago's high crime rate, claiming to be direct victims of targeted gang activity and violence. The influx created a significant financial and logistical burden for the British government.
In order for the UK to properly ventilate the claim itself, it cost the British people around £65,000 per person. That is inclusive of cost to feed, house, and treat with the person during their stay in the UK. And it rose to, as I said before, extraordinary levels. I think the last figure was around 400 and something person.
And in international news, US President Donald Trump has announced a plan to deliver what he called top-of-the-line weapons to Ukraine in an operation coordinated by NATO and paid for by its members. The US President also said he would introduce very severe secondary tariffs of 100% on Russia and its trading partners if no ceasefire deal is agreed within 50 days. Here's the BBC.
Ukraine's rescue teams douse the impact of the intensifying and deadly waves of Russian drone strikes. This one overnight in the northeastern city of Sumy. Moscow has been continuing to show what it thinks of the US president's attempts to push peace.
We are very unhappy, I am, with Russia.
Mr. Trump's increasingly visible irritation with Vladimir Putin led to today's ultimatum.
And we're going to be doing very severe tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days.
The threat involves US tariffs of 100% on countries that trade with Russia, including buying its oil. Mr. Trump then addressed the issue of US arms to Ukraine.
And we've made a deal today, and I'm going to have Mark speak about it, but we've made a deal today where we are going to be sending them weapons and they're going to be paying for them.
By they, he meant European NATO countries paying. But crucially, the White House is back engaging with fresh arms supplies for Ukraine, something the head of NATO has been trying to nurture for months.
And that's it for regional and international news.
Stay with us for sports with Jordan Fort after the break.
Shop and roll a RAV4. New thing, new car, life-changing. Stop. Shop and roll a RAV4.
Stop, shop and roll out in a brand new 2025 Toyota RAV4 from Quartz & Quartz Optical today. Spend $120,000 at Quartz or $80,000 at Quartz Optical and you get an entry to win. Shop on credit and get triple entries for a greater chance to win. Plus, there's monthly prices of a TCL 98-inch TV and $100,000 in supermarket gift certificates to be won. Promotion ends July 20. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.